Hello, I'm Kim Arnold here with the lovely Chris Butler, and we've got a big reveal today. So excited.
Yeah. This is exciting. We've waited quite a time to reveal this, haven't we?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So about a year ago, almost to the day, we discussed a tarot deck to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the UK Tarot Conference. And I initially asked Chris if he would revamp a deck that I had made 10 years ago for the 10th anniversary. And quite rightly, Chris said no, because you never interfere with another artist's work, which is absolutely right. So he said, how about I do you a whole new deck? Well, I wasn't going to say no to that, was I, Chris? So,
well, I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you said to me, will you kind of do a little bit of a revamp and a tidy up? And I'm thinking, oh, I thought she was going to ask me to do a new deck.
Oh, no. See, I'd never be that presumptuous. That's the thing.
I'm thinking, I've got to talk around here. I'm just thinking, you know, let's try something a bit different. And because, you know, I thought, this isn't work. This is play, you know. Yeah. And we have had fun, haven't we?
Oh, God, yeah. And it took you a whole 30 seconds to convince me that it might be a good idea. So anyway, so the deck, it's a major arcana only deck. And it's based on speakers of the last 10 years. So although the conference has been going 20 years, the first deck dealt with the people from the first 10 years. And this is, I suppose, a tribute really to the wonderful speakers that we've had over the last 10 years. And so the Arcana 20 is the name of the deck. And here we are. Yeah. And it's now back from the printers and loaded up in boxes, ready to bring to the Tarot Conference. And today we're going to share a few cards with you and just tell you a little bit about the deck and the creation.
Ooh, I'm excited.
I know, Chris, show us your card first, because Chris and I obviously feature in this. So
this just had to be done. You know, the one thing about this deck is it's serious, but it's lighthearted as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
We wanted to kind of inject a lot of the fun of the conference in. So I'm on the Fool card. And actually, this is it's not as silly as it looks. There is actually a precedent. My very first deck, the Swiss one JJ, if you look at the Fool on that, the Fool is actually making the same gesture. So when I put myself on this, it was kind of like my tarot journey coming full circle, because the very first Fool card I owned was making this silly gesture with a mischievous look. So that's kind of what I'm paying tribute to there.
Oh, so brilliant.
Yeah. So,
and that was the first deck. That was the first card that you created, wasn't it?
Second.
So, oh, second. Yes, it was the second. Yeah, I know it was very early on.
It was going to be the first, but then our kind of mischievous magician took over, didn't he? Because I kind of I had the concept, and then Neil. Well, say about the magician first, and then I'll.
Well, that mischievous. That's a lot of muzz. That mischievous magician we have here, which is the very naughty and wonderful Neil Kelso. So when we were putting characters or personalities to cards, that's a better word, personalities to cards, we have tried to take into account a little bit of you know, maybe what people do for a living in the real world outside of tarot. And Neil sent a beautiful picture which you created into the lovely magician, and it's such a colorful, vibrant card. And you know what I love about this? You know, the magician in the Rider-Waite is very static, isn't it? It's like but here it's a very movable card. I love the movable images, how all the elements of the four suits are flying around the card. And I think that's more of a magician sort of energy, where it's movable and it's working and it's active.
That took on a life of its own, because I mean, we talked about starting with the Fool, hadn't we? And I kind of had the concept for this in my mind, because I knew what I wanted to do. And then, of course, you were asking round, you were sort of asking would people agree to appear, and then of course Neil sent his photos. That just took on a life of its own, because immediately I saw the photo, I knew exactly, and I could see the colors, I could see everything. But he's just inspirational, and I mean, anyone who's seen him at the conference or anyone else will know that one of Neil's presentations is just like this flurry of mad energy in the best possible way, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's what I wanted to express. And he is such a joyful person to be around, but also as well, I thought, yeah, I could kind of see the cup, the sword, and the pentacle and the wand just flying around him, because that's his energy, isn't it? And
I think, sorry, I feel that's something you've really picked up in the cards, because I can see, because obviously I know all of these people, and I can feel how much you have really tapped into them as well as the card. You've tapped into the energy of the card with the energy of the person.
It's funny, because that was, to me, that was the most important thing. I mean, I've met most of the people on here. There's a couple of notable exceptions where I was reliant on you and other friends telling me about them. But I wanted these cards to really express the people that we've chosen to model for each one. And I don't think I think probably for me, there's no better expression of that with Neil, and also with one of the other cards. Well, you'll show the Hermit card soon, won't you? That's another one. Yeah.
The Hermit card, the lovely Rashunda, is, you know, when this landed in my inbox, I was just blown away. I could really feel the emotion of it. And anyone that's ever seen Rashunda speak, and I know she hasn't spoken publicly much, so we were very honoured to have her at the UK Tarot Conference. I mean, she actually brought me to tears, like the emotion in her workshop. And her, you know, to have Rashunda as the Hermit with her beliefs and her teachings, it was inspired, absolutely inspired to have her as this card. And you can see from the card, you know, like the strength of her, and yet the light that shines so brightly around her. It was just very encompassing in so many ways.
Her workshop was one of the highlights of last year's conference for me, because I didn't know her. I'd not met her. I'd heard of her. But several of my friends at the conference knew her, and they just said to me, this woman is really going to blow your brains out. She's, how do you describe Rashunda? She's just got the most gentle, elegant presence, but it's, you just, there's power behind the gentleness and the elegance. And she ran a workshop on tarot and mindfulness, didn't she? And she just took us into such a still but powerful place.
Oh, it was just so strong. I don't think in 19 years, you know, when she spoke, anyone has brought me to tears like that, the way that she had. I think that was really, really quite powerful. But the card absolutely just embraces and everything that Rashunda stands for. It's just wonderful.
And it's funny, because I hadn't thought about who was going on the Hermit card, and then you said to me, I'm putting a Rashunda on there, and it's like, yeah, no contest.
Yeah,
absolutely no contest. Perfect. Yeah,
absolutely. So which one do you want to share next? Right,
so we've talked about him and the
that troublesome person.
I want to share one of my real favorites.
Go on.
This, I had the best laugh with this. So this is the Hangman. Is the amazing force of nature that is Marion Kirk, who once you've met, you just don't forget. And Marion has also written the Little White Book for this project, hasn't she?
Yeah.
So, and I mean, you said to me, when you said to me, you're going to ask her to be the Hangman, and I thought, is she going to say yes or is she going to say no? And she just went with it, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
And, I love doing this card, because I know, you know, I've got to know Marion really well, and she's got a sparkle, you know, I mean, everything about Marion sparkles. But I thought, I'm hanging her upside down. I'm sort of putting her in man-drag. And how is she going to react to this? And I kind of forewarned her. And then I sent her the artwork and thought, oh, God, I'm just going to switch messages.
I'm not answering anything.
And I got this hilarious message back, and she just said, oh, sweetheart, you've made me look the best I've looked in years.
Yes. Yeah.
But again, there was kind of a rightness about this, because for me, Marion, I mean, she's an adept astrologer. She's an amazing tarot reader. But whenever I kind of doing a conversation with Marion as a real highlight. We'll do a video chat every couple of weeks, and she always manages to turn my perspective on its head.
Yeah.
You know, when we're talking tarot, when we're talking astrology, and this just felt right. And I kind of, I don't know whether you can see Marian's cheeky smile on there. And again, there's something it's a conversation we had, didn't we? Because there's a couple of unexpected cards that are smiling that shouldn't be.
Yes.
And it's kind of brought a new perspective, hasn't it? Because it's really made us, both of us, think about, you know, how we view these archetypes. So yeah, that is Marian, and she's also the author of our little white book, and thankfully she kind of didn't mind what we did. So,
and the little white book is not like a normal little white book, because, you know, we just assume if you're at the conference, you probably know what the hangman means in the chariot. So this little white book is more about the personal, a little bit of personal information about everybody that's in the deck. So it tells you their name, it tells you their sun sign, and a little bit about why they are the Empress or whatever, whoever it might be. But talking of smiling cards, because this was a real turn of events here with Lara Van Zudem and this lovely Justice card. Of course, Lara is a lawyer in her other life. And I know Lara said to me, would you like a different picture? And maybe implying that we wanted something a little bit more serious. And then Chris and I spoke about justice and, you know, sometimes what it might mean, because the smiling face to us, it's sort of brought another level of the meaning. And it's like, well, does justice laugh at us sometimes, the imbalance? You know, if we're dealing with contracts, court systems and all this, is there someone in the background that's sort of smiling because, you know, something is about to happen? But we did have a big conversation about this, and we decided to keep the smiling card because it does bring another level into the justice, the meaning of justice.
It changed both our perspectives, didn't it? Because I hadn't really thought about it. And then Lara sent the photo, and I just looked and I thought, I mean, Lara's powerful, isn't she?
God, her workshops are amazing.
Because she's presenting again this year, isn't she?
Yes, she is, yes.
That's going to be one of my highlights for this year, because I mean, she presented I knew nothing of Lara until the first time I saw her present at the conference, and she did this amazing, powerful workshop on the dark aspects of the moon, didn't she? And you're thinking, wow, this woman knows her stuff. She is really empowered femininity in the most strong way.
Absolutely.
And when she sent the photo, and I just immediately looked and thought, that's the photo. But all of a sudden I thought, oh, smiling justice. Threatening. Yeah. You know, that's scary, because, you know, and I could see her almost like, I wanted the pillars of justice, but I thought, yeah, she's going to be beyond those pillars, and she's going to be quite omnipresent. But there's something about Lara's smile, because I mean, Lara has an amazing smile.
Yeah,
and
she has, she's
a very elegant woman. But knowing her legal background, I'm thinking, if I was sat in her office and, you know, I was on the wrong side of the desk and she was smiling, I would know that the axe of justice was about to come down.
Yes, yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I loved it. Love this card.
Yeah.
So another one of your favorites, Chris?
Ooh. Do you know what? This was a personal favorite for both of us, wasn't it? Temperance.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic.
So Temperance is Janine Worthington, who a lot of people will know as the creator of the In-Between Tarot, isn't it? Published by Lo Scarabeo. Now, Janine is also she's the current president of TABI, the Tarot Association of the British Isles. And Janine is just one of the most all-round warm people that you could ever meet. But she also has this amazing perspective on the tarot. She, I don't think I've ever come across anyone who sees the tarot in the way that Janine does, because every card in Janine's deck actually inhabits that midpoint between the major arcana. So for example, rather than just presenting a magician, you know, in the In-Between Tarot, the magician is inhabiting the space between the traditional magician and the high priestess. So, I mean, Temperance kind of chose itself for Janine, didn't it? Because, I mean, she's all about blending and liminal space and in-between space. And she's also got a great sense of fun, and she has the most amazing hat collection.
Yes, so she does, yes.
We didn't know what she was going to send us, did we? And she sent us this incredible photo of her with this deep auburn wig on and one of her amazing hats. So I thought, right, the hat's staying.
Yeah.
So so this is Janine blending fire and water as temperance, and actually looking a lot more threatening and attitudey than you ever would see her in real life.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. But then again, she's kind of got the power that you see on this card. And I think what I've loved about this, and I think it's something that I didn't really expect, is that all of these people that are being celebrated on this deck are just amazing, empowered and gifted people, aren't they? So it's a bit of a gift for an artist when you don't have to make it, because they've all got the vibes anyway.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So, and she was really grateful we kept the hat in as well, because she wasn't expecting that.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. I like that.
Right. Yeah. Go on, what's your next one?
Okay, so my next card is Strengths. Strength. And this is Geraldine Beskin of Atlantis Bookshop. And she's the only person to appear twice. Geraldine was also in the 10th anniversary deck. She's also now in the 20th. And that's because Geraldine's been there from the start. And on the Friday night of the conference, I'm just going to tell the story about how we came together. And someone said to me 21 years ago, when I first met Geraldine, she'll either like you or she won't. And if she doesn't, you'll know about it. And I remember being terrified walking into the shop and being introduced to her. And she was incredibly warm, incredibly nice. I thought, oh, okay, I think I've passed up the Geraldine test. And, you know, and all those years ago, because I didn't really have that many contacts, to be honest, I had this great idea for a tarot conference, but didn't have a lot of contacts. And Geraldine did help steer me, you know, to certain people, which was wonderful. So Geraldine's been there from the beginning. So she appears twice, 10 years ago and this year. And the vibrancy of this card, you know, the strength of this card is just inspired, Chris. I think the way you have brought Geraldine to life within the strength card is just genius, really.
It was an easy one. She's a lioness, isn't she, in the best possible way?
Yes, yes.
I've got to tell you a funny story now, because I didn't know that. But exactly the same thing happened to me when I was introduced to Geraldine.
Really?
In the early 2000s. Geraldine and I had a mutual friend called Tenebris, and it was a guy I used to work with. And I didn't know Atlantis Bookshop at that stage. And he said, we were going into town. He said, right, I'm going to take you to Atlantis. But he said, I need to warn you. He said, Geraldine is like one of a kind, and she's a force of nature. But he actually said to me, he said, look, he said, just brace yourself. She'll either like you or she doesn't.
Oh, how funny. No way.
And of course, went in. I was like bricking it. I'm thinking, this woman. And of course, she was lovely. But we sort of came out the shop, walked a couple of hundred yards up, and then 10 just breathed out. And he just said, oh, God, she likes you.
Do you know what? She would be mortified to hear this, that people have this perception of her.
He said it in the nicest possible way, because I mean, he had said to me when we were going, he said, you've got to meet this woman because she is amazing. And also, I mean, Geraldine has an amazing history, doesn't she, with the shop?
Yeah, God, yes,
and,
absolutely.
You know, Atlantis is an incredible place. So, but it was, I think he was kind of part winding me up.
Yeah.
But I think that's,
yes.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons everyone loves Geraldine, because she did brilliantly in Liverpool, because, you know, she's as blunt as a Scouser in all the best ways.
Yes.
I love. So, yeah, but I'm glad we did justice to Geraldine, because she kind of deserves it.
And she very much approves. I can assure you of that. She very much approves. Have you got another one to share, Chris?
This one's funny, isn't it?
Oh, that little devil.
Oh, God. This is... Now, anyone who doesn't know, this is Andrea Aste, the incredible tarot artist, illustrator, writer, just around, well, all around Renaissance man, isn't it? But anyone who knows Andrea also knows that he is just the cheekiest, most mischievous, wickedest person you could possibly want. So it was a fairly easy choice, wasn't it? But I kind of thought, well, you can't say to Andrea, look, I've got this in mind, I've got that in mind, because you know it's what he will kind of cause really positive chaos wherever he goes. So in the end, I phoned him up because you'd asked him, he'd said yes. So I said, right. I said, just put your best devil look on for me, because I didn't know what else to say.
Yeah.
And he left his glasses on for a start, and he just sent me this series of really fabulous but hilarious photographs. And I could have picked any of them. And it's just, this is one of my real favorites. It was one of the earlier cards because I thought I'm doing Andrea first. He'll be easy.
Yeah.
And he did appreciate the humor of this, because he's kind of one of the sweetest, most kind-hearted people.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
But he does know how to devil it up when he wants to be. So, yeah, that's a real favorite. So the devil does wear Prada glasses, apparently.
Oh, yes. Excellent. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I like that he dressed for the occasion.
Oh, he did.
I just want to show a card of the moon, only because this is this way. Okay. Obviously my lovely esoterical partner Stephen Bright, where you popped him into the moon, and I did ask Stephen, because there was a few cards that I was a little bit unsure, and he said I'd really like to be the moon, like if I can choose, that's the card I'd like to be. So all the emotions in that, I think it's just very gently subtle. It's quiet, this card. It's quiet.
You'd said to me about Stephen on the moon card, and I just immediately thought, yeah, he's the man in the moon, easily. Some decks have a face in the moon. To me, I prefer it when they do, because there is something, I like the sort of personification of the sun, moon and stars in all the traditional decks, and there was just no two ways about it, because Stephen has quite a penetrating gaze, and he's got this subdued energy. There's a gentle energy, but at the same time, again, he's just this fountain of fizzing creativity. Once you get him started and get him talking, you just think I mean, how many projects has Stephen had published now? I mean, quite a lot, but there's about another 50 or 60 in there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's concealed by this gentle veil of quiet, well-spoken, but just, again, he's got, there's a lovely energy about him. So it was a really nice card to do, because I knew exactly what I wanted to do straight away. Yeah. So,
okay. Have you got any more to share?
Should we pick one at random?
Okay. But before we do, I just want to, because obviously I'm in the deck.
Oh, yes. Go on. I am in the deck.
Yeah. Okay. So we did struggle with someone for this card. And anyway, here we go.
We've got some funny stories we won't tell about that.
I'm the Lovers with my husband Martin, and for those of you who've been to the conference, you'll know that Martin is my stay every year. Bless him. He stands on the desk and he signs you in, and he runs around in the background when you're not looking. And so the Lovers had to be really myself and Martin. So this is it's a very powerful card, and actually I'm having this blown up and framed, put in the house. But yeah, and he didn't even complain too much when I said to him, right, you've got to do this pose because we're going to do Chris is doing this. He was all right about it, but it's very nice to be part of this. And the number 6 card,
that was one of the highlights for me, because it was actually lovely seeing your face light up, when you saw the artwork. And it was just, I don't think you can't understate Martin's role, can you? Because he's just like this quiet presence that keeps everything stable.
Yeah.
And what I love is, I mean, a standard hypothetical line from Martin, anyone coming to look for you, because, I mean, the minute you step into that hotel, it is just like you are literally on your feet, busy and occupied for the whole period, right until you walk out. And even that doesn't do it justice, does it? Because it is a big job.
Busy, yeah.
But what I love about Martin is anyone can go to him, and if they've got a query, he will quite rightly say either you're busy, or you're solving a crisis, or you're dealing with someone else, but just park it with me and she'll get back to you. And that's exactly how it works, isn't it?
Yeah.
And invariably, one of the things I've noticed is he solves half of those problems quietly and discreetly before they even get to you.
Yeah, he does. He's very Libran, as the Libra that he is.
So he's a treasure.
He is a treasure. Don't let him hear you say that, though. Right. I'm going to shuffle and pull a card. Let's pass them what's left. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So one we haven't seen, the Emperor. This is David DeAngelis, who is the author of the Starman Tarot. And another one of those, he spoke at the conference about 3 years, I think it was a year after COVID, I think. Yeah. And he was lovely. He was so nervous about speaking. You know, this man, he's got such a presence about him and such a history. And obviously that history connected to David Bowie, and, you know, he's traveled the world. He is a real emperor, and he was just amazing at the conference. So when I asked him to be our emperor, he was absolutely thrilled. So that's a lovely one.
I'll let you into a secret.
Oh, not another one.
No, that was the most intimidating card to create.
Oh,
and
really?
It was precisely because, for me, his work is so incredible. I know when the Starman Tarot came out, it was one of those decks that you looked at and you thought, beat that. You know, how do you follow that? And I'm thinking, is this amazing artist, you know, who commanded the respect of the likes of Bowie, and I've got to do him justice on the Emperor card. It was quite a relief when you said, oh, he likes it.
Yeah, no, he loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah.
But he is just incredible, isn't he? And his work really speaks for itself.
Yeah. And what I love, Chris, is everyone we approached, no one said no. Everybody was delighted. There was a few cards that I'd put to certain people and they went, I don't think that's me. I would rather be the what's it or whatever, and shifted a few, not many, but there's a couple that shifted round. And in fact, on the advice of them, it turned into a better deck because, and particularly with you, Chris, because you work with the energy of the person. It's like you could, even though you might not have known the conversation I'd had with them, that you seem to just tap into that, you know, this is.
I'm a portrait artist first and foremost.
Oh, okay.
That's I mean, most people know me for my work in tarot, which is actually one of the biggest parts of what I do. But a lot of people don't know that I started out as a portrait artist.
Right.
So that's my passion, because the challenge for me is it's not just to get the face, but to kind of get the personality underneath it.
Oh, wow, you certainly achieved that.
This was daunting, because with knowing some of the people but not all of them, you're then having to go on hearsay as an illustration project. But that's why I love doing this, because it's faces. That's my comfort zone. So yeah.
I think the last card I'd like to share is the death card, because you know it's when you do a deck, and I know when I did that one originally, when you're putting someone to a card, it's like, how do you say, would you be my death card? But the person that is the death card is just made for it, and that is Christopher Hughes. Of course, worked as a clinical mortician, I believe, and he actually said to me, because he was one of the ones that I had put a different card to, and he went, "Oh no, darling, that's not me. Can I be death?" I thought, really? Like, you're going to take the death position? Thank you. And he said that far more fits, and I thought, absolutely, thank God you said that, because I didn't even think about that. But this powerful card of the skeleton on one side and Chris's face on the other is just it's a very powerful card.
It's funny as well, because when you told me, I thought, yeah, that is a really obvious fit, because I found his story fascinating. And there's so many facets to Chris, isn't there? Because I mean, he worked as a clinical mortician, as a coroner for years, but then he's also a really well-known Welsh TV presenter. You know, better still, he's Wales's premier drag act, the fabulous Maggie Noggy. And he's also the head of the Order of Druids, the Vovates and Bards in Wales, isn't he? I mean, he's an incredible presence. And that one took a couple of attempts because he is such a powerful presence. He's difficult to capture. But then you can't really contain him, can you? I mean, he kind of burst out when he gave a presentation last time and had a room full of 100 people absolutely crippled sideways with laughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Overawed with a lot of profundity as well. You go on a roller coaster when he presents. Yeah. There
was a lot of emotions in that workshop. And in fact, when Chris said, all right, now we're going to crack on with the workshop, I went, Chris, you run out of time. And nobody cared. It was like, you were just so engaging. We didn't care that you ran out of time. You just keep talking. But unfortunately, we had to go to a break. So that was that. But he's back. And, you know, I'm so happy that he's coming.
Presenting this year.
Absolutely.
He's the only person that would ever get away with doing a diagram of the Kabbalistic tree of life out of emoticons.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, yes, that was funny, wasn't it? You know, brilliant.
I kind of did a double take. There's all these like sort of emoticons in. I think, oh, he's prideful.
Yeah, it's great. It's genius, I say, genius. So, Chris. So anyway, so the cards are going to be on sale at the UK Tarot Conference. There is a button on the UK Tarot Conference website under shop where you can pre-order. And there are only 100 decks. So 100 decks on the box. We have limited first edition of 100 copies. These are going to be very well sought. Already people are queuing up for them, and we haven't done anything because we wanted to give everyone a fair chance of getting a deck. But absolutely thrilled, Chris, and to Marion as well for taking the time to do the book.
Yeah.
Because I did actually start to write the Little White Book, and I'll be absolutely honest with you. So I started with the Fool, and the Fool means this, stands on the edge of a precipice. And I thought, oh God, I'm bored, and I'm only on the first card. And I thought, our people don't want to know that stuff. They know that stuff. You dive into the card and you pick up the energy and you do your reading. And when I said to Marion, do you fancy writing the Little White Book? It was like I'd just diminished all responsibility of just, you know, of everything. And she said, well, I'd like to do it a bit different. I go, okay, like, just tell me. I thought, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So anyway, it's all good. If you can't do it yourself, always own up and just say there's someone that can do it better than what I can.
She's kind of like the missing link there, wasn't she? Because, I mean, we've devised this between us and, you know, I've kind of given it the visual element, but Marion's given it just a really extra dimension.
Yeah.
When I read the Little White Book for the first time, I just thought, oh wow, this kind of really, it does what the cards do. It really pays tribute to the quality of the speakers that have been presented at the conference over the last 10 years.
Yeah. And also there's a couple of little readings on the back as well, like a couple of little readings suggested by Marion with the cards.
We have got a couple of cheeky little exclusives for the conference auction, haven't we?
We have.
So, if you are coming to the conference, or if you are an online attendee at the conference, you will know about Kim's famous fundraising auction. So we decided that we would put a couple of Arcana 20 exclusives in there. So first and foremost, a one-of-a-kind photo book presentation. So this is the complete Arcana 20, but it's done as an art photo book. So there are 3 of these. Kim and I are cheeky. We've nicked the first 2. And then number 3 goes in the auction. So if you want a one-of-a-kind, there is literally only going to be a one-of-a-kind of this. Do get your bids in online or in person at the conference. So that's our first Arcana 20 exclusive. The second one's even more fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I decided I was going to have a little bit of mischief on the computer in Photoshop while I was doing the deck. So I took every card and I changed the colours. And I had 3 exclusive copies printed. So this is the Arcana 20 Paradoxical. Again, I've got 1 copy for my archive. Kim has a copy for my archive. This is number 3. So every single card in this is a different colour from the other 100 copies. So again, get your little bidding mitts on, either online or at the conference, and you get to see the Emperor in blue when he should be orange. Where are we? Oh yeah, Liz is the star. She's green, isn't she? The real thing, she's pink.
I've got the original one here.
Yeah. So that, just to give you an idea, if Kim holds up the...
Oh.
There we go. So Kim has the limited edition, and I've got the one-of-a-kind paradoxical. So yeah, this again is going to be going in the auction to raise funds for... Your auction is amazing because it's for the bursary fund, isn't it?
Yeah, and the bursary fund, our world card is a lady called Betty Jane Ware, and Betty Jane, many years ago, people used to bring things to we used to put them in the raffle, and she said, Kim, why don't you start a bursary fund for to help people attend the conference that couldn't afford it? So that was, it's probably about 8-9 years ago. Betty Jane will know more than I do. So we did. The following year, we started the bursary fund, and you know, that bursary fund truly, I mean, usually every year I end up adding to it because we get through so much. Wow. But it helps people. I've paid someone's rent from our community with the bursary fund. Seriously, I have sent a food parcel to someone in our community from the bursary fund. I have helped people attend the conference that wouldn't normally be able to do that. It just does amazing work. And I promise you that every single penny from that bursary fund goes before the next conference to people in our community that really need help. So, you know, and I think sometimes, you know, the raffle, we raise money and we send it wherever. The bursary fund is different because that is for our community and to help people that are in need. And sometimes, you know, it might even be to help someone with a Kickstarter project if it's worthy, you know, worthy of what I feel that our people would like. Just to help people over the hill. And I think sometimes people just need a little push, need a little bit of help. And that's what the bursary fund is there to do. And it raises a lot of money every year. And thanks to you, Chris, because you've been so incredibly generous in donating stuff for the fund. So
it's lovely to donate to because you know it's doing great work. But I mean, it's not just me. I mean, it's really taken off, hasn't it? Because some of the, you know, the amazing names in the community, and also that, you know, donating artwork, signed books, all sorts of other curiosities. But this year has got better again, hasn't it? Because
yeah, there's some really stunning stuff this year. Really
amazing, because Sophie McKay Knight has donated an original painting.
She has, you
know, I mean, it's mind blowing. So I mean, this is kind of small fry in comparison to some of the donations, but if you want a genuine one-of-a-kind tarot deck that is never going to be repeated again, there it is, and it's up for grabs.
You've got to stop me buying it, Chris, because I'm terrible. Like, it's me and Martin to be going like this, like put your hand down.
Martin is going to hide your credit card wallet for the weekend.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Chris, you've been a star. Thank you so much for everything you've done. Thank you for the deck. And so excited that we can now release it to the hounds. We can release it to the world and just let everybody know that it is available. But anyone that does buy it online that's not coming to the conference, you will not receive it until after the conference, because this is an exclusive offer to we just want the people that are coming to the conference to be the first to have that opportunity to see it. But you can pre-order, and yeah, we'll send them out after the conference.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, love. It's a joy. And I just hope, well, to everyone who purchases the deck from both of us, we just really hope you enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed creating it. And I will see you, and hopefully a lot of other people who are watching, at the conference in a couple of weeks.
You will. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.